Hi, my name is Zarafa Giraffe. Welcome to Anthro Northwest Virtual Online Edition. I've been asked to tell a story, and this story starts in Cuba 5 years ago. And it started out with me on a performing arts trip with a band I play in that's made up of about 50 people. We're a very loud street band, and we were asked to perform in Cuba for a whole week. There was nothing furry about this trip. It was just me and my band members traveling around Cuba and playing at various places in Havana and at various music schools and so on, as it was an intercultural performing arts event. So we played all over the place. We had a great time. Music is very important in Cuba, and it was wonderful to be playing for people that really appreciated music. But eventually it was time to go home, and the morning we were supposed to leave Cuba, we had to get up really early. Now in Cuba, by the way, there was not much internet access. It was restricted to Cubans, and we as foreigners could get on the internet briefly for 15 minutes at a time if we paid a special fee. So we didn't do that much while we were there. In the morning it was that we got onto the plane and it was time to go. A lot of us didn't bother checking on the internet because we knew we would get home in the next few hours. So we get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and have to board the buses to get to Havana's airport. We were really tired because we'd been performing and playing all week and we had to get up so early. And we get to the airport and we have to wait around a lot, and then we go through immigration. And immigration is filled with very serious people who ask you very serious questions to make sure you're not taking anything you're not supposed to take out of the country. And it was all kind of very stressful, and it took a long time to get through that. But finally we get on the plane and it's time to fly home to the US. And the flight was uneventful. We landed at Tampa Airport, and as soon as we touched down on the runway at Tampa, we all turned on our phones to get access to the internet again to see what's been going on in the world. And as we're taxiing down the runway, having just landed from Cuba, I turn on my phone and find out that my flight that was connecting me from Tampa back home to Oakland was canceled. No flight. Well, that's not so good. I learned the reason was there was a major ice storm in the northeastern United States, and that it canceled flights everywhere. However, I'm an experienced traveler. I've traveled all over the world. I figured I'd figure something else out once I got through customs. So I went through customs. There was more people asking very serious questions. I got through that just fine. And then it was time to get up to the Southwest Airlines ticket desk. And they were swamped. There was a really long line with lots of frustrated-looking people. That did not look good. I finally got up to the counter, and the person behind the counter is tapping away at her computer screen, and she says, "I'm sorry, sir, there's no flights for you until at least Tuesday." Now, this is Saturday afternoon. That was 3 days that I'd have to spend waiting around at Tampa Airport. And I said to her, "You're kidding, right? That's 3 days from now." And she says, "I'm sorry, sir, the storm has canceled flights all over the Northeast." Meanwhile, another friend of mine from the band who was also going to Oakland, California, was 2 or 3 ticket agents down. And he yelled out to me and said, "Hey, I think we've got something." And she said to me, my ticket agent, she said, "Whatever they've got, go for it." So I moved over to his ticket agent, and she's tapping away at her computer board, and she says, "I think I've got something. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to get on a flight that's going to go to Dallas, Texas, but it stops in Birmingham, Alabama first. So you're going to go to Birmingham, and then you're going to go to Dallas. You're going to spend the night in Dallas, and the next morning you have to get up early and catch a flight to Las Vegas. In Las Vegas, you're going to change planes to Oakland, and then you're going to get to Oakland by tomorrow morning, and then you should be okay." And I was like, "I'll take it." That meant I would get home in 36 hours, a day and a half, rather than 3 days. So my friend and I from the band, we take those tickets, and she said, "You better get going. The flight's leaving in 20 minutes. So we ran down the corridor, got on the plane, and just before the plane took off, I sent out a tweet because I didn't know where I was going to stay in Dallas. And my friend and I had been discussing what we were going to do because we were going to get stranded for the night. So I sent out a tweet, and my tweet said, "Can anybody help a stranded giraffe? I'm going to get stuck in Dallas tonight." And the plane took off. We landed in Birmingham as scheduled, and I turned my phone back on, and I see all sorts of messages scrolling across my Twitter feeds saying, "Hey, there's a major furry convention in Dallas, Texas Furry Fiesta. Why don't you come to the convention?" And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm going to get stranded in a city where there just so happens to be a big furry convention. And I started to laugh right there in my airplane seat. And my other friend from the band, just sitting a seat away from me, goes, what's so funny? Because we were all stressed about where we were going to spend the night. And I said, well, I just found out there's a major convention taking place in Dallas where a lot of my friends are. And he goes, convention? What sort of convention? Now, what you don't know is I didn't tell anybody in the band about me being a furry. I was pretty quiet about it, and I had to figure out what to say to him. And when I don't want to explain the whole furry fandom, I have a separate way of explaining it, which, as I say, it's related to Burning Man. Burning Man is the event where I discovered the furry fandom. So in my seat, I turned to him and I say, well, the convention is sort of Burning Man related. And he just kind of goes, ooh, Burning Man, like he didn't want to hear any more about it. And that's when I knew I wasn't going to tell him any more about what I was going to be doing once I got to Dallas. So we land in Dallas. He decides to go off and stay in the airport hotel. And I am getting more messages saying, come to the hotel. You can have dinner with us. And we've actually found a spare bed in someone's hotel room. You have a place to sleep. And I'm just amazed. A few hours ago, I was going to get stuck in Tampa for 3 days, and now I'm going to be having dinner with friends, and I have a place to sleep. So I get to the hotel in Dallas, and when I walk in, I'll never forget it. I just come through this long, drawn-out, stressful travel experience with serious immigration people, and I just spent time in Cuba, which is a communist country where you have to be careful what you say, and suddenly I'm in the middle of a furry convention. And I watched a fursuiter go by, and he had squeakers. And he went like that, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. What a crazy transition. So I had dinner with friends. I loaded my stuff into the hotel room where I had a bed of my own. And then a friend of mine, Scotty Minotaur, said, hey, I've got a fursuit. Do you want to wear it? I had absolutely nothing furry with me. Remember, that was a performing arts trip. I didn't bring a badge. I didn't bring a T-shirt. I didn't bring a tail. I brought nothing. And so when he offered me that fursuit chance to wear his fursuit, I was like, absolutely, I'd love that. So I got into Scotty Minotaur's White Griffin fursuit. It's a beautiful suit, gorgeous wings, and I went down to the dance, and I had an amazing time. It was wonderful to be dancing at a furry convention, dancing with my friends, and it was just amazing. I danced to the wee hours in the morning, till like 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I realized, oh my goodness, I have to get some sleep. I have to be up like at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning so I can get back to the airport. So I went back up to Scotty's room. I got out of my fursuit. I hung it up and got back to my room about 4 o'clock in the morning. I had exactly 2 hours of sleep, and then it was time to get up, and then I took a shuttle back to the airport. I will never forget walking down the long airport concourse and seeing my friend from the band sitting quietly in a chair by himself, backlit by the dawn sky of Dallas. It was all kind of gray. And I walked up to him and I said, hi, how was your night? And he said, well, I went to the airport hotel. I ordered room service, a steak dinner, and then I went to sleep. And then he looked at me and said, what did you do? And I said, I partied my butt off. And he never asked me another question. And then it was time to get on the plane, and we flew to Las Vegas, just like the ticket agent back in Tampa said, and we changed planes uneventfully, and then flew from there to Oakland, and I actually got home. But the thing that's most amazing about this, that I will never forget, is how the furry community helped me out when I was stranded and was stuck. People just couldn't do enough. I had people to have dinner with. I had a spare bed. I was even lent a fursuit. It was absolutely one of the most amazing experiences of my life, and I always think about that when I think about what a wonderful community the furry fandom is. And in fact, I tell the story when I want to tell outsiders what this community is capable of. This is the story I often tell because it shows how we all can come together and help people out in need. So that's my story, and that's how I got back from Cuba safely and wound up at a furry convention in Dallas by complete accident. I hope you all have a good time at virtual Anthro Northwest, and thank you very much for listening. This is Zarafa Giraffe.